Good morning, everyone. Um, just coming in to talk to you this morning about something that is really serious, matter. Just want to talk about a few things this morning. Mainly dealing with Tyre Nichols, the incident that occurred in Memphis. First of all, rest in peace to Tyre, who was clearly murdered by the five Memphis police officers. Um, and my condolences to the family in losing their son, losing their brother, losing a cousin. I want to talk about this man right here, Tyre Nichols. I want to talk about him this morning. This young man was killed by five police officers. Okay, he was killed by these five police officers. He was killed by these five. Okay, and these five have been indicted, and they have been released from jail right now. But these are the officers that killed Tyre. Okay. And so I want to just for a brief period, just talk about some things. Okay. And one of the things, I look at a lot of things when I see something like this happen. I'm always looking behind the scenes. I'm always looking at colors. I'm always looking at numbers. And it's one of the things I really feel like this was a sacrifice because there's so many clues out there when you look at this incident where you see that this man was sacrificed. You've heard me talk about colors before. You've heard me talk about purple and Tiffany blue, black, red, black and white. You've heard me talk about these colors before, and colors indicate a lot of things. And so one of the things, the news, of course, they keep showing, his pictures, and one of the pictures they like to show is this picture right here, which has him in Tiffany blue. And of course, that's their color. That's the color of the Phoenicians. If you're not aware of the Phoenicians, their colors are purple and Tiffany blue. The purple comes from they were sea people. They were people who lived off the sea, and their god was Molech and and also the sun god Ra. And you see where these people lived off the sea, and they drew their power from sacrifices, where children would be sacrificed in the statues of Molech and killed, and this gave them more power. So we see that coming back today, because when you look around and you pay close attention to the movies, to the commercials, to the news, to sports, the sports casters, and just all these things, when you pay close attention, the colors on the buildings, the colors inside the stores, you see purple and you see a lot of Tiffany blue. And so when, even when they did the press conference, we see a lot of purple here. We see Ben Crump to the right there. He has on a purple tie. We see the clergy who is standing behind Tyre's mother. He has on a purple shirt there. We see this man here. He has on a purple tie. When he spoke, he had on purple. Again, Ben Crump, he has the purple tie on. We see the gentleman in the back. He has on a red tie. We also see the mother and father in black and white. Again, a red and black tie, which signifies sacrifice and Satanism. So we see the colors are there. We saw that during the news conference. And so we're going to talk about today, why did this happen? What are they trying to accomplish here? Why was this young man targeted to be killed? And so, he was killed by 5 black police officers. And I'm going to go there today. He was killed by 5 black police officers. And so it was enough growing up that, especially for black men, for the black community, there was some fear there. There was some fear there that if you got pulled over, you would be beaten, or you would be carried off into some woods, or a number of things. You could be killed. And that reputation was built in all major cities across America because of the past, of the things that have happened in the past. And so there was a fear there among black men, especially, that, they had to walk a straight line, because if you got pulled over by the wrong guy, it could go in the wrong direction quickly. But now when you see it, where you see now that not only do you have to worry about, and don't get the wrong understanding, I'm not prejudiced at all. I'm just stating facts here. But now when you look at the fact that you not only have to worry about being killed by white police officers, but also by black police officers. So, the black community is confused because there's no options anymore. You're getting killed by black and white police officers. Black and white police officers. And so what it does is it significantly continues to downgrade the relationship between blacks or African Americans and the police community. It continues to downgrade that. Because, I watched that video of them beating him, and nobody deserves that. I mean, he was kicked, he was beat with batons, he was punched, he was stomped on, he was pepper sprayed. They stood him up and sucker punched him. And he even tried to get away because they were beating on him. And at one point, they said that he was only about 80 yards from his mother's house. So at one point, the young man began to call for his mama. He knew what was happening to him wasn't right, and he knew that he could possibly be facing death. More on that in a little while. So as they beat him, he called his mama. You would have thought that after all the training that these 5 officers had, after being raised up, some of them had to be raised up by good parents. Some of them had to have children at home. Some of them had to have a brother or a sister of loved ones that they grew up with. But none of this came into play. No love came into play. Somebody at that group had to have written some type of scripture or Bible or something, or someone after 5 had to have gone to church at one point or another. But it still didn't stop them. They have given their families a black eye. It would be hard for them to come back from this if they ever come back from it. I don't believe they will. Only God can bring them back from it. While they were beating him, they had to have realized that this was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's father, because the young man had a child, somebody's uncle. But it still did not stop them. And they beat that young man, black and blue, until he died. Until he died. They beat him black and blue. And they knew they were doing wrong. And they still didn't stop. There was no love. It was only darkness, evil, and demons out on that street when this occurred. So why did this happen? Let's talk about that for a minute. Why did this event happen? It was a distraction. Because now if you look around, it's on all the news channels. It's all over America. It's overseas. It's all over the TV. They ain't covering nothing else. They just covering this. A distraction. We're not seeing anything on the documents that they found on Joe Biden. They're not saying anything about the war that is going on overseas that America is involved in. They're not even telling you that Russia and China are slowly surrounding the United States. They're on the West Coast by Hawaii, and they're on the East Coast. And they're locked and loaded with nuclear weapons. You hadn't heard about that, have you? Maybe this was a distraction dealing with the New World Order. Maybe this is a deal where they're continuing their push to defund the police. Defund all the police nationwide and bring in the New World Order police. How about that? Maybe that's what this is. Maybe they want to defund the police. Kind of like all the mass shootings. And then immediately after they talk about guns, we need to take guns out the hands of the American people. Maybe this is a distraction. And in part, you have to blame the church with part of this. Because the church has failed these 5 officers. They have failed these 5 officers. Why is it that the church is unable to reach the people? Why is that? Because churches have lost their relationship with God too. They lost their relationship with God a long time ago. The church got to a point to where instead of chasing after God, we began to chase after pleasures. Money, cars, fame, power. We began to chase after the devil and all these goodies that he was putting out. fancy jobs, making a lot of money, fancy cars, big homes, a wife and side chicks. We begin to chase after the pleasures that the devil was putting out there, and in exchange for it, he wanted your soul. Why else do you see all these singers and movie stars selling their souls? The list goes on and on. Every week I'm seeing a video on some movie star or singer that eyes rose up in his head while he's singing, and he's demonically possessed. We got children following people on social media who are demonically possessed, and they don't even know it. The church has lost their relationship with the people. How is it that these babies can ask somebody to pray for them that starts speaking with a demon's voice and in demonic tongue and not even know it? 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, I will heal the land. The key word there being seek my face. Seek my face. He said, I will hear from heaven. He said, turn from their wicked ways. Pleasure. What is most pleasure? A lot of pleasure. Sin. The wages of sin are what? Death. The wages of sin are death. Now, I'm not talking about Tyre's parent, but I'm talking about other parents who are not praying parents and who are not praying for the protection of their children, and their children end up involved in things that they shouldn't be. So why is it that people are not listening to the preachers anymore? Why is that? Why are people not listening to preachers anymore? Because the preachers are indulging in the same things that the people are. They're involved in sin. They're committing homosexuality. They're sleeping with women outside their marriage. They're sleeping with their members' wives. They're sleeping with little boys and little girls in the church. So the people look at that and they say, hey, there's no sense in me talking to them because they're doing the same thing that I'm doing. There's no relationship amongst the people. So when there's no relationship, then you get officers and you get other people who commit acts that are ungodly. Those 5 officers, at some point in their life, someone or several people failed them. Why else would they commit such an act? Either their parents or their friends or the church or someone failed them at some point in their life to where they would feel comfortable enough to kill this young man when they are sworn to protect and to serve. All this training they received, and they still didn't stop. At some point during the beating of this young man, somebody after 5 should have said, wait a minute, stop. This is wrong. We need to stop this. This is wrong. At some point, but nobody stopped. We find nowadays that the younger people are not listening to the older people. They're not listening to the elders. They are doing what they want to do, and that includes killing. They're cutting off their lips. They're cutting off their nose. They're cutting off their ears. They're tattooing their face up. They're tattooing their tongue, tattooing their eyeballs. They are not listening to the elders. Let me give you some statistics here to prove why this is occurring. Did you know that America has about 354 to 360 million people? Did you know that 31% of Americans never attended church? 31%. That's roughly around 110 to 114 million people never attended church in America. These people live in America. 25% of the people in America, which equals 89 to 92 million, say that they seldom attend church. Those two statistics right there equal 2/3 of America, around 200 million people. So here it is that we have 2/3 of America, 200 million people that had never attended church or seldom attended. Like on Easter or on Christmas. They seldom attend. You might well say they never attend church if they come on Easter and Christmas. 2/3 of America doesn't attend church. 2/3. 200 million people. And you ask yourself, why does crime continue to grow? Why does prostitution continue to grow? Why does adultery continue to grow? Why does homosexuality continue to grow? Why does theft continue to grow? People running out of stores with product, and the stores are having to raise the prices to prevent them from closing the doors. This is it. This is the fact right here. 2/3 of America does not even attend church. Only 22% attends church every week. Roughly about 80 million people. The others say they attend church almost every week. So give or take 110 million people attend church out of the 356 million people in America. So, another statistics, people ages 19 to 28, less than half of them believe in God. Less than half. Less than half of the people ages 18 to 29 believe in God. Less than half. But boy, if you put a video game in front of them, they play that video game. If their favorite singer is doing a concert nearby, they're going to the concert. They're watching these horror movies with these demons on it. They're watching their favorite actors or their favorite singers. So no wonder their minds are messed up and they're killing people. They are like-minded with the people that they believe in. They don't trust the older generation because they think that our beliefs are outdated, believing in God. So we can't give them advice. I'm reminded of the story in 1 Kings chapter 12. I believe it's chapter 12, I believe. 1 Kings chapter 12. King Rehoboam. King Rehoboam in chapter 12, 1 Kings chapter 12, was given advice on how he should treat the people. And they told him, they said, your father had a yoke around the people's neck. Okay. And so he asked advice of the elders, and the elders told him that if he would serve the people, that the people would serve him. And so then he left them and he talked to those who he grew up with of like mind. And they told him that his father had a yoke around their neck and that he should give them a scorpion. I remind you that these 5 police officers were on a special task unit called Scorpions, okay? They were on a special task unit called Scorpions. In other words, they were supposed to protect the people. This new task force called Scorpion was supposed to protect the people, but it didn't. They terrorized the very neighborhood that they were supposed to protect because the residents in those bad neighborhoods reported that they were abusing them, and even a 66-year-old man got abused by them. The Scorpion Task Force. And so in 1 Kings chapter 12, the young people told King Rehoboam to not only be tough on them like his father was, but to also give them a scorpion. And it says that he took the advice of those young people that he grew up with. We have lost our way. We're living in the last days. The church has lost control of the community. I didn't say God has lost control. I said the church has lost control of the community. The wages of sin are death. Jesus says in Luke 10:19 that he gives us power to walk over the serpents and the scorpions. We can walk over the scorpions. But you got to walk with Jesus to do it. He's already paid for it. There's no other way to get to the Father except through Jesus. You can't get through him through homosexuality, adultery, theft. You can't get to him through sin, but you can get to the Father through Jesus. Because Jesus died on the cross and shed his blood so that we may have everlasting life. That's how we reborn again. I thank you for listening to me today. If you have any comments on this, I ask that you comment, be respectful, comment. I also ask that you join the channel so you can keep up with the things that are going on in the world and where we are at in life. God bless you and God keep you. Until the next time.